kinda hate how I always go here instead of just going to the angel first. I have this like... I mean... I guess anybody who plays open world games or just any games that where you think that you might be locked out of something if you like, you know, go somewhere else first. Like, I feel like fundamentally or subconsciously, I feel like if I go here and do this part of the quest or something, I'm gonna lock myself out of some loot or something. It's just a habit, you know?
It was you. The song.
Scan the airborne squad member. Adam, scan the airborne squad member.
It's a 4th airborne squad member. What did I just say?
It's a 4th airborne squad member.
It only sounds like a
This
song
is
because the
not a
repeated
song.
voice is being
It
refracted.
only sounds like a song because the repeated voice is being refracted.
I didn't even read the
Really?
subtitle there, by the
Can you
way.
decode it?
Sure, I can try.
Traitor
4th
in our
airborne
midst.
squad. Traitor in our midst. Watch out. Trap.
Traitor
Unable
in
to
our
control
midst.
movements.
He has to be talking about Raven
Eternal
still.
pain.
I haven't found
Let me
anybody who
rest.
fits this
Cut the
description as well as the
Power.
Raven in this story,
Please.
so surely it's just Raven.
end it. What
It's the same,
should we do?
it goes to the same
know what
plan,
it is she
how she
wants.
like hunts down all of the airborne squadron members on each one of the deployments of the 1000 airborne squadron members that there is on each one of the deployments. She hunts personally each one of them down that she can find. So that, you know, because of her hatred towards Mother Sphere, and so that Mother Sphere's schemes of defeating the Naitibas and conquering Earth just never get fulfilled. But at the same time, she's also in a conflict with her intentions with Adam as well, because, you know, Raven somehow believes, like, if we think about just their actions, what do their actions, like, consequences do? If let's say Raven defeats all of the airborne squadron members each time they get deployed, and at some point Mother Sphere gives up on sending more airborne squadron members, and Raven somehow gets her will through because of her burning hatred and her actions towards Mother Sphere's army, right? Well, if that happens, then how exactly are the Naitibas gonna coexist normally? It's not like they are just gonna like revert their like mutated states back to like these like sentient human beings or something. So like if she gets her will through there, then how is her own existence gonna, like, because she's an Androidos member as well, right? So if she somehow like finally, like, with like all of these decades, if not even centuries of this like consistent fighting that she would have to go through to somehow get her will through, then like she herself is an Androidos member. So would she A, kill herself, or B, would she somehow forcefully try to fuse with Adam and create this enhanced species of humanity? But if she does that, then she knows that that's one of the things that both Raphael Marx as well as Mother Sphere somewhat want. Because, you know, the aboriginal or the original human species does not continue to exist then at that point. I mean, I guess they already don't continue to exist, because we don't meet a single normal organic human in this entire game. All of them are either Naitibas, they have been either experimented and turned into Naitibas, or they have been Naitibas for a while and they have, you know, been contaminated and mutated into different monsters and like variations of the same species, and like the kind of like possibility to like reverse the damage that the experiments have done is not even possible anymore. So the only thing Raven is literally doing is just being strongly delusional because of what her consequences would eventually, even if she gets her will through, what they would actually like bring. So she is just in a massive like stage of denial with what her actions bring consequence-wise. Maybe eventually throughout like the decades and some centuries, like Raven's like burning hatred towards Mother Sphere would just cease to exist at some point. Maybe it's one of those things how, like, you know, there's this common saying actually with some like, well, I would say a lot of like dystopian like movies where there is a lot of warring between like different factions and stuff, where like there's this saying how like if you fight long enough time for the sake of something, of some like value or thing that you or your people used to care about at one point, if you fight long enough in that war or for that cause, the cause itself and the reason as to why you fight starts slowly losing its meaning. And it's slowly being engulfed by just the sorrow, the oppression, and the struggle, and the... what is it now? The sadness that just comes from that consistent experience and existence in that kind of hell. Like, those feelings will overwhelm you eventually, and the reason as to why you fight will start to feel not so worth anymore. And maybe the same exact thing would happen with Raven over time too, you know? Maybe Raven would actually see the sense in it at some point, even though she is more, you know, obstinate and not as open-minded as, you know, her, like, as fundamentally because of her personality biases that she has been, well, I guess, dawned with, like, from her birth, from her conception originally, same as the other commanders. Compared to the Eve prototypes, which we are, and we are a lot more, well, very different from those commanders. So maybe they would never be able to see sense in this. But if they are able to see sense in it, then who knows, maybe Adam would actually pick Raven eventually at some point. If Raven would just continuously succeed at dispelling the Mother Sphere's troops, and at some point if Raven actually starts to see some sense in finding another way out of this hell that she exists in. But at some point, or should I say, the commanders are not humans in the same way, or they do not think like humans the same way as the prototypes do. So maybe that day would never come. Maybe people like Raven and Taki would just never be able to actually see that. Because they are not strongly influenced by their surroundings as the same way as humans are, or how the prototypes like Eve are here, you know? So maybe, like, despite of being, like, exposed into that kind of consistent hell on Earth, like, they would just not be able to ever actually see any truth in it, and they would just continue the fight, even if there is... even if it is not even rationally a good idea at that point. But I guess you could also say that irrationality is also a very human trait, you know? Hoping when there is no hope, and making decisions based on other things rather than just calculative, like, logical basis, you know? But not in this context. But yeah, if Raven would somehow get her will through, would she ever change? Or would she not? I would say no. I think for the story of the game it would fit that she, along with characters like Taki, would not be able to change their... they would not be able to change their opinions. They are just that way because they have been algorithmically designed for that certain role and have those certain very strong tendencies for that kind of, like, very powerful conviction, you know? Something that Eve does not have, because Eve is a lot more, you know, influenceable by her surroundings, and she requires a lot more emotional intelligence and investment for her to see, like, her own, like, path, kind of, you know, her own motivation and the things that she wants to do in life and feels like she should do in life, you know. She chooses her own path, you know, her own decisions. What you looking at?
It's over.
Yes. May your memories live on forever.
May your memories live on forever.
You know what just hit me very uncomfortably? Stellar Blade 2 is gonna be obviously a fucking... it's gonna be a Sony-sponsored title again, obviously. Which means that it's gonna be 1 year on the PS5 again. And yes, I do believe PS5. I mean... I'm pretty sure with how they hinted at the start of... Or, not at the start, but at the end of the game here. On, like, pretty much all of the endings, how, like, their journey will continue. I'm pretty sure with... When you have developers that, like... You know, tease, like, a sequel like that, they are already designing a sequel in the background when they were releasing the original game. Like, if I were developing a game, I would already have, like, a... pretty good, like, blueprint on what the next journey was gonna be like, you know? So I think probably the next Stellar Blade game, Stellar Blade 2, is probably gonna come maybe even like couple years after this one, to be honest. Like exactly on the dot, maybe. Maybe somewhere 2026 even already. I would honestly not even be surprised.